Well, it has been a minute. I mean, it has been a minute. Like, I didn't realize it had been over a month since I had posted something. And I guess I should have. I'm fidgety because I just happened to be going and posting something because I started writing and realized that it had been over a month since I posted something, and then started looking at some of the posts and cracking up at myself. And what I found even funnier was that there was actually people that were watching me and my foolishness and my rants, and kept saying, "Oh, I need to, I need to post, I need to post." And that was still about a week ago. It was actually Mother's Day, so not Mother's Day, Father's Day. So the last time I posted was Mother's Day, and I was in the Bay Area. And a couple of days before that, I posted I was in Palm Springs, and ironically, I am back in Palm Springs because for Father's Day, that was what my husband wanted to do. He wanted to come and he wanted to get out of Dodge for a couple of days. So we came to Palm Springs again because it's just an easy kind of place to go. And the crazy thing is, we we came on Father's Day, met up with one of his um, high school or childhood best friends. Him and his wife had come to Palm Springs for the weekend to celebrate Father's Day and his birthday. So we met them for dinner, which was phenomenal. Had a great time chatting with them, and it was a good night. And then the other thing that my husband wanted to do coming to Palm Springs was he wanted to do a day trip to Arizona to go to Buc-ee's. And if you don't know what Buc-ee's is this ginormous gas station. In essence, it's a big gas station that has this huge, I don't know, store that's attached to it. It's like a gas station with a convenience store, but it's a convenience store on steroids. And they sell food and they sell nuts and they have their own brand of things and they have these really great nostalgic stuff inside of it. They have kitchen stuff, they have placards, paintings. Like it's just crazy. And they built one in what is it called? Something in Arizona. I can't even think of it now, but it's in Arizona. Goodyear, Arizona is where it's at. And he was like, "Hey, can we do a day trip to Arizona?" Well, from LA, it's about 5 hours, and Palm Springs is 2 hours outside of LA. And so from here, it's 3 hours. So it really wasn't a bad drive. And one of our very favorite breakfast spots is also in Scottsdale, Arizona, because we love pancakes. My husband really loves pancakes, and they have the best pancakes. And so he said, "Well, why don't we just do a day trip out there, go to Buc-ee's, go have breakfast, try and come back?" And I thought that's insane, but it's Father's Day. That's what you want to do. So Tuesday morning we get up and we take a drive, and it's about 3 hours from Palm Springs. Pretty solid 3 hours and some, a little less. If I drive, it's probably a little bit less. So we take off and we get to Goodyear, Arizona, which is about, I think, 20 miles or so outside of Phoenix. And we find Buc-ee's, and it is like it's not it's it hit an interesting thing. It had opened up that Monday. We went down on Tuesday. It opened up that Monday, so they were prepared for a lot of foolishness. And so we get off the freeway to go, and they take you down this one street, almost I would say 3 or 4 miles till basically the street dead ends to where it almost there's no more street left. You make a U-turn because they had everything blocked off where you couldn't make a left turn. So you couldn't get off the freeway because Buc-ee's is right off the freeway. You couldn't make a left turn into Buc-ee's. You had to go way down this street, which I guess they did that to control traffic. 3 4 miles down the street, turn around to come back up the same street in order to be able to get into Buc-ee's, and then they, cycle you right into the parking lot. So we were early. We went on Tuesday. We probably got there about 9:30 or something like that. And I was like, let's just go straight there because the later it gets, people get up, the kids get up because it's summer. It feels like it'll get crazier. So let's just go first thing. Let's just go because we were going to come to Buc-ee's before we were going to make it in Scottsdale to the breakfast spot. So we we do that, get into Buc-ee's, and it's a madhouse, right? And to think that it was even worse the day before, the day they opened, because there were pictures of it, people posting. But I have to give them a lot of credit because the people working there were phenomenal. It was people everywhere. One of the things that everybody was waiting for is they do these brisket sandwiches, which apparently are really good. I've been to Buc-ee's a gazillion times in the South, having business, doing business trips in the South. I've come across Buc-ee's, I don't know, 10 or more years ago. And as much as I've enjoyed going to Buc-ee's, because I love the nostalgia stuff. I love all the little knickknacks. It's one of those stores that you can find random things. Like, for example, I bought a cast iron butt pan, of which I've never seen a cast iron butt pan. I've seen lots of cast iron, like skillets, cast iron, all kinds of cast iron stuff, but never seen a cast iron, not butt pan, like a loaf pan. That's what it was, a cast iron loaf pan. Never seen a cast iron loaf pan. So I bought it because I was like, where will I ever? I've never seen one, and two, where will I ever see one again? Unless I'm looking for it, right? And so I bought a cast iron loaf pan at Buc-ee's. But so anyway, they have these. So anyway, I've never eaten food there, just never did because it's all crap. I think it's all stuff I don't like. And so there were people waiting in line for this brisket sandwich, and it was a whole thing. The guy was cutting up the brisket right there in front of everybody, and people were waiting at 10 o'clock in the morning to get this brisket sandwich. My husband included was over there waiting to get a sandwich, so he ended up getting two of them. I don't like barbecue sauce, so it's the brisket is chopped up, and then I think they put barbecue sauce all over it. So even though I had a bite of it, the brisket was tender. It was good actually, but I don't like barbecue sauce. So one bite and I was good. Like I don't like barbecue sauce. So and it was drenched in barbecue sauce. I was like, I'm out. I'm good. But you can get my husband's obsession was beaver nuts. I think it is, which is some kind of I don't know what I don't know what it is. It's I don't even know. But anyway, beaver nuts. He wanted brittle, and I think he bought 10 bags of these beaver nuts or whatever they were. We I bought my brother some really interesting golf ball cigar glasses, which I thought were super cute, which again, never seen anywhere before. Just all these random things, just things that you're like, where would you find this stuff at? That's what I like it for. End up buying some ice cream because they have, um, it's slipped my mind, ice cream that you can get in Texas, that you can't get in California. The closest you can come is Arizona, and they had it. Actually, we didn't buy ice cream. We bought a cooler. We bought a Buc-ee's cooler so that we could buy ice cream before we left to head back. So we did that. Then we got out pretty unscathed. $200 later is what we spent. Didn't even buy gas. We just bought this that went into Buc-ee's, got the stuff at Buc-ee's, dropped $200, got in the car and left. And then went into Scottsdale, went to our spot, sat down, had a great breakfast. And I am obsessed with vintage shopping these days. And so decided to do a little vintage shopping in Scottsdale, which is actually pretty good for vintage shopping. So went and did that. And we walked in one place that I wanted to go to. I actually went to two places. We went to the Salvation Army in Scottsdale, which I actually left with a really great pair of jeans and a camo jacket, both at the men's section. Genuinely love shopping in the men's section. And then went to this other little small vintage boutique, of which I had a quick business meeting that was at 1 o'clock. And so I was like, I had literally like 25 minutes before this meeting started. And we had said as soon as this meeting was over, we were going to hit the road and head back to Palm Springs so we could get back in time to have dinner. So we go to this little boutique, and my husband was like, "You got 25 minutes." He was like, he wasn't mad about it because he was like, "That means you have a very limited amount of time to go in here and blow some money." And so, very much in my, for me in shopping, in 25 minutes, I bought I think 4 articles, 2 pairs of pants, a dress, and a top, and they were lovely. And he sat in the store because again, I think today he's 110. And when we were in Scottsdale, it was probably around that, about 110 or so. So it was hot, 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 hot. So he was like, I'm not sitting in the car because I thought, oh, you're just gonna sit in the car. Was he leave the car running? He goes, no, because I'm coming in because of course it was air conditioning and they had a chair, as the lady called it, the husband's chair that was right at the door. And I said, well, he said, okay, you got 25 minutes because the meeting starts in about 30 minutes. So you got 25 minutes so we can sit for you to have this call and then we're going to hit the road. And so I told the lady, I was like, I got 25 minutes. And she starts cracking up laughing. She was like, he doesn't have you on timer. I was like, he does. So went in, but I was like, it took me no time because I'm a pretty quick shopper. Like, I like what I like. Uh, a lot of vintage stores I recognize are situated by color. And so there's certain colors that I like and certain colors I don't like. So then that cuts, I actually kind of like that because then it cuts me out of looking in areas and colors I'm like not interested in. And so then am able to kind of cycle in and, click in quickly to the colors that I do like or the colors that I'm, amenable to. And then I don't have to go through a bunch of stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm not a big purple person. So I'm like, okay, all that purple stuff, I'm out. I'm going to go over here and look at the black. I'm going to look at the white. I'm going to look at the beige. I'm going to look at the pink. I'm going to look at the blue, the gray. But some of these other stuff, the coral, the purple, I'm not looking at those. That cuts out a lot of that. Or they had like some sections where it was like the formal wear, which I was like, I'm not looking for formal wear. I don't care about that. So left with some really cute things. And then we headed back to um, Palmdale, Palmdale, Palm Springs. We're in a little traffic on the way coming back. So we left. I think we pulled out of Arizona. We left Scottsdale probably. We stopped to get gas, stopped to get the ice cream, get some ice. I think we went to pull out. It was probably around 2:30, maybe 2:30, 3 o'clock when we originally officially got on the road to head back to Palm Springs. And we made it back to Palm Springs a little after 6. I think maybe between 6:30 and 7. So it took us a little longer than I thought, but horrible traffic getting out of Phoenix. By the time we got to Phoenix, it was gridlocked. And so we had gridlock from Phoenix until we got to Goodyear, which is where Buc-ee's was. And then we ended up with another gridlock before we were able to kind of break free and get past all that. And then I was really able to push it. And so then we got home. So then from that, like, I just think about as I, tell you all that foolishness, like, it's been a month or so since I posted. Like, a lot has happened. I guess that was May, first part of May. We're now almost in July. May and June, dude, have been some interesting times for me. This journey of entrepreneurial life, my daughter, just being an adult, but really still feels like it's an adult in numbers, but not necessarily maturity. Like, she's 23, but it's almost like she's 5. Like, you add those numbers together because there's just still things that it's like I'm like, hello. She was perfect example. My daughter decided to leave the apartment that she was currently in because um, since she's lived there, she's had to change apartments because she's had a real bout with mold. It's a brand new apartment, but the way they built it, probably too quickly or without enough. Um, uh, what am I trying to say? Not enough airflow or something. The ventilation maybe when they built it, and she's in Charlotte, North Carolina, and so last summer, like, she literally was mold. It was humid in her apartment. Clearly they have full on air conditioning and all that, but it was still this humidity in her apartment to the point to where it started growing mold. And I mean mold like on her couch, on her pillows, like mold in her apartment. So she went to them and they moved her to another apartment building, supposedly cleaned everything. And so she hasn't necessarily had the issue in the new apartment, but she just from that point was a little bit turned off. So her lease was coming up. She said she was going to look for another place, and she wanted a place. She's a cooker, she's a baker, a chef. That is her really what she is, a pastry chef. She wanted a place that had a bigger kitchen. And so her lease was coming up, and I kept saying to her, okay, so what are you doing, right? And so she was looking at condos, looking at houses, looking at other apartment buildings, complexes, looking a little bit at everything. And I kept saying to her, well, your lease is up. Your lease is coming up in May. So she came, one of the things right after Mother's Day, which I thought probably might have said this in the last post, that she came to California for a week to get, do some checkups, get her teeth clean, all that kind of stuff. And that'll be another post because she brought a little boyfriend. When I'm sorry, not her boyfriend, her situationship, and that's a whole other post. But she, while she was there, I said, okay, so what did you decide to do? Because your lease is up in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, mind you. She still hadn't decided on anything. Still was just kind of, she has this such head in the clouds type of attitude. She's like, oh, mom, I've got a couple of more places I'm going to look at when I get home. And so, I'm just going to figure, I said, you do realize your lease ends in 2 weeks. Like you got to either decide to re-sign the lease or what are you doing? It was 2 days before her lease was up that she sits down and reads the lease to realize that she's going to get an automatic extension. If she doesn't tell them something, they're just going to automatically extend it. I think her rent goes up. I think it went up like another $150, something like that, for like a lease to lease until she figured out what she was going to do. And even still, she's kind of like, la, la, la. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, what are you doing? And so helping her try to navigate that from across the country to the point where last week she finally had decided to move to another apartment complex, had a bigger kitchen. She's fairly okay with it. And she calls me up. The day that she's going to pay the deposit, she calls me up and we're chit chatting. She was like, hey, mom, and you have to know where this is going, right? So uh, I don't have enough for the deposit. Can I have can I borrow some money? You're not borrowing money. You always borrow money. You never pay it back. I'm like, what are you talking about? How short are you? So she tells me she's short, like almost $700. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing with your money? If you're short, one, you knew you needed to move. Two, you supposedly been looking at places, so you knew you got to have come up with a deposit. Here, you finally at the very last minute, you're already past your lease. You're now in this, midway of the second month of the extent, of the month to month lease. You go to pay the down payment, and now you call me up talking about I'm short $700 for the down payment. And you call me with this situationship next to you, who 9 times out of 10 spends a lot of time at your apartment. I'm like, why can't he give you $700, or why couldn't he give you some of the $700? That's a whole nother thing, right? Nice guy, whole nother post. But anyway, that's just a little bit of, and just the ongoing emotional transition of me and this becoming this entrepreneur, this person that I didn't anticipate. I did this really great thing, and I'm gonna get off with a person that, just another TikToker. I think I followed her. I can never remember people's names that I follow. But anyway, she had this thing about doing a fast for 3 days, the first 3 days of the month, and reading Matthew. And I did that for the first 3 days of January and just loved it. It's just a day fast. It was like 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., no eating. And you read Matthew, 9 chapters, I think, every day. It was phenomenal for me. And so I'll make that another post. I'm going to try. I think I said in the beginning I would post randomly. I didn't think randomly meant, a 6 week break, but hopefully I'll be able to get on here more regularly, because I do think it's good for me just to kind of, again, get the thoughts out of my head. So hope everyone's having a good day.